Hello and welcome to the Leadership Exchange. Today I am joined by Nigel Sullivan, the Chief People Officer at BUPA. BUPA is a healthcare organisation with 84,000 people worldwide in 33 countries. At the heart of the organisation is a purpose, which is that our customers live longer, healthier, and happier lives, a truly meaningful purpose that they bring to life. Nigel, welcome.
Thanks, Maggie. Good to be here.
Great to have you. So today we're going to talk about your reflections on 2020 leading through this year, and look to the future in terms of what this has meant for you and your leadership. So let's start by reflecting as we come to almost the close of the year now, and think about, what has this year really meant? What have you realized through this year as a leader? What have you reclaimed? What has it meant for you? What would be the summary of your reflections on 2020?
Yes, it has been a year. As we get to the end, I had my leadership group, top 60 together yesterday, and my concluding remarks were, this is my 55th year on planet Earth, and I've never wished away a year, but 2020 is one that I'll be glad to consign to the waste bin, to be honest with you, and look forward to 2021, which hopefully will be better. I think for me, this year, I've never had to, I've never been stretched so wide, and I've never had to dig so deep in the year, and that's not a bad thing, but it's just I think maybe a testament to how incredibly demanding it's been in the midst of the crisis, with 84,000 people with in healthcare. We managed to keep 96% of our people at work. The few people that weren't at work because they couldn't work because the dental practices or the clinics that they were running were closed because of government restrictions in various parts of the world. So doing that and making sure that our people were safe, both physically and mentally, and where people could work from home, that they could work from home, was a huge challenge. But we got through it, and from a leadership point of view, from my point of view, I was incredibly proud to lead the organisation. I think for me, and it's such a cliche, but I do believe it, Maggie. It was a very much. For me, it's been very much an inverted triangle kind of experience. I've led from the top, and I've made decisions and got things done and led at pace. But I've also and I've been working on this, as you know, for many years, to try and be this sort of person, but to be authentic for people, to support them, to be humble, and to show my humanity as well. And I think that's the right way to go, and it's helped them and it's helped me.
Yeah, it's certainly been a year actually when I've noticed many leaders are having a quality of conversation with their teams that quite different from before. A level of intimacy, if you like, that's developed in the relationship with people, needing to discuss things that were sort of irrelevant before about their own family circumstances or their own health, specifically, so that the relationships have definitely changed.
Yeah. One of the things I've done is it's really the dial up, the communication. We weren't too bad at it before, but I mean, I have sort of two hats really. One is the group function that reports to me as a chief people officer, which is not that many people, and they range from administration folks through to the head of talent for the globe, and I meet them every week. I have been doing that for quite a while now, since the whole thing started. I meet them every single week, brief them on what's going on across the business, answer any questions they've got, very openly. And then the other piece I've done, about every other month, we have a global all hands. And so there's about 700 or 800 people in the people function. We've had this all hands, and they're a bit legendary internally here. The first one was as you know, I'm a sort of like music, and so this was me doing a little bit of guitar playing and a little bit of Bruce Springsteen referencing, and a lot of emotion, because it was right. And it was the beginning of April when we were absolutely at the zenith of the thing. And we've continued that, and I've continued to try and bring some of the things I'm interested in. So I did another one which was called 1 Minute Before Midnight, which is around Homo sapiens and how long we've been on the earth and all the things that have tried to wipe us out in the past and haven't been successful, and how COVID's not going to be any different from that, that will prevail. Try and give people hope, but not false hope. And then the last one I did was called Think Ahead, and just the sort of things I try to practice in terms of trying to think around the corner and what have you. And we've got another one in a couple of weeks' time, and I don't know what the theme's going to be, but I'll think of something. But they've gone down very well with people, and but the point, sorry, so much to show off about what I've been doing, is more to say I've really tried to it's not me, it's me in a t-shirt with North Face on it, because I love the outdoors, as you know, and I've got one on under this fleece, but it's a little bit chilly where I'm right now, but because it's to remind me that that's it's important to me outside work, is the outdoors and the environment and nature and the mountains. And I show as much as I would want to around to people about, how I'm feeling and what I'm doing and how I'm getting through it. So, and I've had a great response to that, Maggie.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I really applaud you for just being that, as you say, authentic, available, human. It's brilliant. I mean, it seems rather sort of, I mean, the enormity of COVID is undeniable for many organisations and for everyone's lives worldwide. But if COVID it was sort of deliberate in our world, what's it trying to cure? If it were the antidote, what's it trying to sort of cause for us?
If it was deliberate, if we had deliberately done it? So I think, what's the anti-COVID thing, I suppose. I mean, I don't think many things positive about it, frankly, in terms of the cure, because it's disrupted. I have a certain beliefs. We all have certain beliefs. I just believe that we're animals. I don't have any. We're Homo sapiens. I believe we're animals. It's very sophisticated animals, but that's what we are. It's what I believe. So I think we're social animals, and it's really created a big problem, for us, clearly, because we can't. 70 to 80% of people with COVID are asymptomatic, and therefore they spread it like crazy, and then it hits the people who are. The symptoms have a wide range of outcomes. So it's a massive problem. So the things I think it has done, I think it's made people appreciate the precious things that they do have, whether that be their family, their relationships, their kids. If they've had busy leadership executive lives, and they might still be busy, but they're at home and they're able to spend time with their family, where often travel and stuff takes that away. I think there's I have another thought on this. You might ask me about sort of environmental things. I don't know, but the short-term impact on some environmental aspects are positive.
Yeah.
I think we've come to realize that you don't really need to travel all the time like I used to do to get the job done. It's not that necessary. It's of value at times, but we don't need to do the levels of travel that we were doing before for business purposes. It's just rubbish, really. When you think back, it's just like, why did I get on that plane, and all that money and all that carbon, and when I think it's made us a bit more efficient as well in how we do things. So meetings are shorter, more efficient, faster decision making. The digital piece, I think, has been a huge thing. So for us at BUPA, I'll give you an example. We have hospitals in Spain, and so if you have a BUPA policy in Spain, you see a BUPA doctor, you get treated in a BUPA hospital, sort of a chain of events. we were doing 300 video consultations a day before the pandemic. We're now doing 5,000 a day. So it's absolutely changed, you know, the game in terms of digital, you know, so that's happened all across the world. That's just one example. So I think there's some, and I think it's accelerated the future forward, you know, in many, many aspects of our business. Things that we're working on, you know, by necessity, we've brought forward. So there's a lot, you know, there are some good things in it, in terms of technology and those other things. But I think you know, the impact on people's mental health, the impact in certain sectors of the economy are going to be permanent. So I don't, you know, there's some things that are positive, but I think the negatives outweigh the positives in my mind.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you about the point about some of the long-lasting effects, and I think many of those we have yet, of course, to learn about, and what those will mean for business and for society. And
you know, the arts, you know, sport, you know, you know, that's, you know, not good. Yeah.
And you know, as you say, I mean, the benefits around accelerating things like technology, accelerating decision making, just cutting to the chase. So many leaders I've been speaking with just talk about, you know, we were able to sort of make things happen in 2 days that we'd sweated over for 2 months, 2 years before. So the cut
same for us.
Yeah,
exactly. And I talk to other, you know, people in my profession. It's the same. You know, it's amazing how the commonality's been around things like that. You know, people.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. And then the piece about climate, I mean, we would have never made those radical choices about not traveling, for example, in the way that it now is, and that, you know, the decisions that organizations are now making about ways of working, we'd have got there on our own. So, and the benefits to the climate are clear. And it was extraordinary, the stories about how nature has sort of so quickly adapted to the space that was created through us all not traveling and being at home, and just how nature returned very immediately.
Yeah. Although I think COVID is, I think it's masking some of the real issues still a little bit, because, you know, travel is something like 4% of carbon emissions are due to air travel. It's not that big. And there isn't really an alternative to that, because the batteries are 4 times heavier than the planes would be today if you try to do what we're doing with cars. So I think we need to be careful that you know, there's a superficiality to some of the environmental stuff. There's still 7 billion people on the planet consuming, you know, far too much, you know, of its resources. So the big choices still need to be made and executed around environment, in my view.
Yeah, yeah. And business leaders globally have an enormous role to play in that regard, in terms of the power that they can bring, and through their choices, through simply.
Yeah, there's a choice there. I mean, I'm the co-lead on environment from an executive sponsor point of view at BUPA. My background is science one, you know, and I did environmental science, you know, that was my degree. So I have some knowledge of it, although rusty in some places. But yeah, I think it's hugely important, sustainability. I think that's possibly another change. I think a positive change. I think the optionality of social purpose for organizations and companies has changed. I don't think there's really that option now. I think we all have to provide an element of that. Now, we're in a pretty good place, you know, relatively speaking, because we're in healthcare, where we don't have shareholders, etc. So we're a privileged position to be able to play in that space, hopefully stronger even than we do today. But I think that's a big shift. And I think the other thing, you know, linked with that, as you say, about organizations, Maggie, you know, you look at the trust index and things like that, and you know, the trust has moved away from governments globally, and people are looking to organizations now. So the responsibility and accountability for those things are dialing up even further. And then you add on sort of the employment piece, you know, my side of the house, and what you know, the next generation of workforce coming through and what they are looking for from organizations. And they're looking for purpose, they're looking for social enterprise, and they're looking for sustainability, and not as a nice to have, but as a prerequisite to their talent.
Yeah, no, wonderful. I welcome the if you like, the accountability almost being moved from governments to, or the expectation perhaps of being moved from governments to business leaders. I personally believe that business leaders are the ones that can truly act globally. And by default, governments can only ever act locally. That's what they're contained within for their country. So thinking about the future, what must organisations preserve for the future? What's the imperative going forward from here? Because there's been an enormous amount of crisis management through this time, quite right. And now is it sort of, you know, there used to be talk of when we get back to normal. Well, I don't think that's happening. There isn't a back, there isn't a normal, it's a forward. And what's the imperative, Nigel, from your perspective, in terms of what organisations must preserve from this time?
Probably, you know, things that they should preserve, you know, a recognition that some jobs, you know, the way of working for many, not for everybody, you know, a lot of our people have to be in situ, you know, have to be in care homes and dental practices and stuff like that. You know, they can't just decide not to do that, you know, yet, but it's not virtual yet. But I think that I call it sort of like office, say, let's take office work, sort of call it hybrid. So I think offices, places of work will need to change permanently to become a place where you take your work to rather than where you do your work from. It's a place of collaboration, a place of creativity, a place of social interaction, you know, and that's the hybrid office. And some people might want to sit at a desk, but I think that's less of that. And then secondly, the hybrid work style as well, you know, where, you know, most people have moved away from this, but you know, the sort of 9 to 5, you know, Monday to Friday sort of office, I don't think that's going to be, I think that's a permanent change. I think people will do, you know, a couple of days, you know, they'll collaborate, they'll come in, but a lot of these jobs now can be done from home. You know, a lot of people's jobs can be done from home. I think that's a good thing. Other things to companies to preserve, I think, where companies have, you know, one of the, you know, we did an exercise actually, you know, that you do that sort of the trapeze artist, what do you want to hang on to, you know, that's sort of trapeze, what do you want to let go of, sort of thing. Use a trapeze sort of as an illustration. I think that decision, certainly at BUPA, that decision making, that the level of communication and collaboration that's going on across the organization, we absolutely want to hang on to. You know, we're moving faster than we've ever done. The decisions are better, they're quicker, and they're longer lasting. And there's, to get the decisions done in that way, you need to collaborate more. But that's probably the single biggest thing, actually. I would say, to hang on to.
Great. And for you personally, as a leader, how has this time forever changed or shaped or evolved your leadership?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this actually. So it's an asynchronous game of two halves for me. So I've been around in my profession for 31 years, and so I've managed, you know, to deploy 31 years of experience and, you know, whatever skill or talent I possess, into 100% of it into use, you know, sort of thing. So I feel I've contributed a lot, you know, and I've been glad that I've had all those experiences and things and coaching and gestalt work done on me in the past and all the rest of it, you know, to be able to stand up and be a leader and very consciously, you know, lead the organization and do what I need to do to, you know, do my bit for the company and its people. So I feel very good about that. The other bit is I'm not going to do another 31 years, you know. So I'm I'm reflective about what my legacy might be as an executive, and as I sort of think about, well, what about 5 years from now, Nigel? What's going to be important to you then, sort of thing. So I think that's where I am, in that sense.
Yeah. Funny enough, somebody the other day said to me, anybody that wrote a 5-year plan, a year ago or 2 years ago, wrong.
well, so I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think, and I agree and disagree with some of those sentiments, to be honest with you. I don't think, certainly for us, I don't think the game's changed that much strategically, to be honest. I don't think there's nuances, there's changes to it, but it's not, I mean, if I was in the airline industry or something like that, you really have to rethink, what it's about, sort of thing, what you're doing. But, it's not for lots of tech companies, for healthcare. It's not, the strategy is not that different really because of all of this. What's more difficult is I think is the volatility. I think that's the thing that's, because it's gonna be like a yo-yo for quite a while, and that's, I think it's managing the volatility in a business sense. It's going to be the toll that takes, because humans like stability. They like certainty. They like routine. We can't have that. It's just not available to us for a while, or maybe forever. I doubt forever, but I think the volatility is probably more the challenge than sort of short-term, long-term stuff, if you know what I mean.
How we deal with that, our comfort in dealing with that has been super stretched during
this. Volatility brings ambiguity, and ambiguity is not a great, not something most people think's a great place to be, And ambiguity equals uncertainty and all that stuff, It's not, that's not, you think what society's often built on. It's built on long-term, mortgages and long service awards or whatever it might be. Humans like some certainty, and it's quite difficult to have that. And I think that will be something we'll have to just find a way of getting used to. And therefore, that brings in the mental health piece that probably should have said earlier. That's something to hang on to. That awareness about mental health and how important it is, and how health and well-being is top of the tree really now for organizations to really take seriously in terms of their people. Absolutely.
It's for organizations, and indeed for us all individually, to take care in the same way that we might take care of our physical health with routine. Mental health equally needs that routine to it as well, rather than just as and when. So, but yeah, it's on every organization's agenda, certainly, that we're working with for the future. It's really vital, really, really vital, as well as in all that volatility and ambiguity, actually just finding out, what are those still points, what are those true norths that we can hang on to in a world that's swimming at present, and, coming full circle back to your purpose as an organization of customers, living longer, healthier, happier lives. It's that, how that manifests itself may change over time, but it's that still point at the core, around which then ambiguity can be much better managed. So finding those still points, those points of continuity, even though they might manifest differently, is absolutely vital. Nigel, thank you so much for joining me today. It's really great to chat with you, as always.
I hope it's helpful,
I'm sure it will be. And if you would like to contribute to the Leadership Exchange and share your experiences of leading through this time, please do put a little comment below in the comment section, or contact me. It would be great to hear from you. We're seeking to simply share moments in time across leaders across the world. So please, I hope you've enjoyed this, and let me know if you'd also like to contribute. Nigel, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maggie.
Okay, bye-bye.